In 563 BCE, a king decided to do something no father in history had done before. He issued a single order to all his guards and servants. Any sick person, any elderly person, any poor person, any corpse must disappear from the streets before my son passes through. I do not want my son to see any pain in this world, ever. And the strange thing is it worked. For 29 full years, 29 years, and Siddhartha lived in a world with no pain, a palace with everything, a beautiful wife, a young son, and every street he walked down filled with smiling faces arranged by royal decree. Until one day, he saw an old man. One sentence from his servant changed everything. This is something that happens to every human being, to you as well. 29 years of a perfect world, and one sentence brought it all down. This is the entry point into the story of Buddha, not the fat smiling man you see in statues at Chinese restaurants. That is a completely different person. The real Buddha was a prince who left his palace and his wife and his son and walked out alone in the night and spent 6 years sleeping in the streets and learning from beggars and wanderers. And the question he left us is not a religious question. It is a question for every human being. When pain comes to you for the first time, and it will come, what will you do? Before we answer that, we need to understand who this man was. Shuddhodana was the king of a small kingdom at the foot of the Himalayas. When his son was born, priests came to him and told him something that changed his entire life. This child will either become an emperor who rules the world or a spiritual teacher who changes humanity. One of the two, no third option. The father heard the first one and decided to guarantee it. And he knew that the only path to an emperor is a man who does not think about the meaning of life and death. Because the one who thinks about these questions does not build an empire. He leaves everything and searches. So he built his son Siddhartha a complete world with no pain, a palace with everything. And when he went out in his royal carriage, the streets were cleared of every face carrying suffering before he arrived. But on that day, by coincidence or by fate, an old man slipped through. Siddhartha saw him. He asked the person beside him, "What is that?" The answer came, "Old age. It comes for every human being." Siddhartha returned to the palace shaken and went out a second time. He saw a sick man. He went out a third time. He saw a corpse. And the fourth time, he saw something completely different. A man sitting in deep meditation, his face calm despite everything. He asked, "Who is that?" They told him, "A man searching for a way out of suffering." In that moment, Siddhartha made one decision he would never walk back from. That night, he took one last look at his sleeping wife and his small son, and he walked out of the palace and never came back. He did not leave them because he was tired of them. He left because he refused to continue living in a world built on a lie. He refused to become the person his father had spent 29 years trying to manufacture. And he decided to find the real answer to one question. How does a human being live knowing that he will get sick and grow old and die? In the street, he began a journey he did not expect would take this long. He learned from many teachers. He tried fasting to gain control over his mind. He fasted until his hair started falling out and his body could no longer hold itself up. And he realized that extreme deprivation, exactly like extreme comfort, shuts down thinking. The answer was not at either extreme. After 6 years of searching, he sat one night under a fig tree and decided he would not get up until he found what he was looking for. And that night he arrived. What did he arrive at? He summarized it in 4 truths, but they are not rules to memorize. They are the conclusions of a man who spent 6 years living pain in all its forms. The first truth: life contains suffering. There is no escape. Sickness and old age and death come for every human being. And even happiness contains suffering because it does not last. Not pessimism, this is the starting point. The second truth: the source of this suffering is desire. Every desire that puts you in conflict with reality generates pain. The desire for things, the desire to prove yourself, and the most dangerous, the desire to destroy yourself. All three share one thing: they are never satisfied. Buddha compares suffering to fire and desire to the wood that feeds it. As long as you keep adding wood, the fire does not go out. The third truth, there is a way out. Suffering is not an eternal fate, it can be overcome. The fourth truth, this way passes through three things together. Acting with good morals, not because someone ordered you to, but because you understand the consequences of your actions and you choose. Developing your wisdom and always wanting to understand the world more. And meditating, not as a religious ritual, but as a way of thinking about yourself and about life. The one who walks this path arrives at what Buddha called nirvana, a word that literally means the candle has blown out, not a heaven you go to after death. It is a state you reach while you are alive, when you free yourself from the cycle of desire and suffering. And when someone asked him to describe this state, he told them, imagine you were struck by an arrow in your chest. Instead of pulling it out and treating the wound, you are asking about the hair color of the person who shot it and what they will eat tomorrow. The wrong question at the wrong moment. After his awakening, Buddha spent 45 years walking from village to village and giving this to everyone who wanted to hear it. He never once said, I am a prophet or a god. He said, I am a teacher who arrived at something through thinking and meditation. And you are free to think about it and criticize it. He died at 80, lying on his side between two trees in a small village. The man who was born in a palace that had everything died in the street, and he was smiling. Perhaps because he was the only person who truly knew what it meant to let something go. Not because you lost it, but because you chose to.